Let's talk about oversharing. What is oversharing? Oversharing is when you share an inappropriate amount of material and information about one's personal life, whether it's your own or it's somebody else's, right? The fascinating thing about oversharing is that when I think about oversharing, I immediately think about parentification because oversharing has a lot to do with parentification, and parentification has a lot to do with oversharing. If somebody was parentified in an emotional way, it's because they learned things about that adult's life that they really didn't need to know. They learned about maybe their marriage, they learned about their personal issues. And the fascinating thing about this is that, when it comes to learning oversharing, because somebody doesn't overshare for no reason, right? You're not just born with the learned practice of oversharing. It doesn't work that way, right? You learn to overshare, right? The behavior of oversharing is a learned behavior, right? You're not born knowing how to do any of this stuff. So it's derived from somewhere, right? It originates from somewhere, right? So again, oversharing is the act of sharing an inappropriate amount with somebody else, right? And this is oftentimes learned through the process of a child being parentified, right? Maybe that child has age-inappropriate material shared with it, whether it's marital issues or things that are going on in the person's life, in this case, an adult, right? That the child just simply doesn't need to know. And oftentimes, parentification leads to things like anxiety and depression, right? So, oversharing, why does it happen? It's not just a matter of a learned behavior, right? Oversharing happens because a person probably wants to connect with somebody, right? They want intimacy. And they've learned that if they don't show all of their fucking cards at once, then maybe it's not real. Maybe it's not vulnerability. Maybe it's not intimacy. Maybe it's not an actual relationship. They need to get completely naked right away. They need to show all of their cards right away, or else the relationship is not real, right? I have overshared in my life. I know what it's like to overshare and then regret it. Oversharing is like the opposite side of the same coin, where the other side is boundaries, right? The reason why oversharing is a problem is for many reasons, of course, whether it's you're oversharing your own personal life and information, or you're oversharing somebody else's personal life and information. And, other people don't want you to talk about them. They don't, right? And oversharing other people's lives can be an issue, especially when it comes to talking to this person and talking about this other person, right? You're talking to person B about person A. By the way, it's not a healthy thing to talk about other people's lives with other people, right? If you're talking about this person's life with this person, it's not a healthy thing to do, right? This person probably doesn't want you to talk to this person about this person's issues, right? Now, let's talk about when you feel peer pressured to overshare, whether it's your own personal stuff or somebody else's, right? And let's say that this happens with, I don't know who else this would happen with other than narcissists, right? They have their fucking claws, they have their talons, and they know that you've got these permeable boundaries, right? You're very porous, right? You budge easily, right? When somebody knocks, you shatter, right? So oversharing happens, and if you're I mean, I don't want to say that it just happens, because it doesn't just happen, right? There's some sort of force, there's some sort of influence, right? And you feel obligated, right? Maybe you're getting a little bit sweaty, right? Maybe for some reason there's something that the person, whether they're a narcissist or not, maybe there's something that you want from them that is familiar, that they're trying to give you. Maybe they're trying to give you admiration, validation, acceptance, praise. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's the keys to the kingdom, right? And so then you give in. You start to overshare, right? And they know that it's not that hard to get you to do that, right? But then you overshare and you regret it. You regret it because you realize that you just broke the boundaries of somebody else, of another relationship that you have that's important to you, or you just broke your own boundaries, right? Maybe you went through something really crazy and you just want to take all of the time you need to yourself to really process it, right? However, the person, the narcissist, whoever they are, they're knocking. They're knocking a lot, and they don't stop knocking, right? And you literally say to them, you're like, I'm not ready to talk about that right now, right? If it was a healthy dynamic, they would respect the boundary that you set. They would respect the fact that you just don't want to talk about it, right? But instead, they're like, oh, well, I'm curious as to what it is. You know? Maybe I could help. Maybe I could give you some guidance. Maybe I could better help you understand it. Different people, and again, it's not always a matter of narcissists. Different people have different ways of getting themselves in, right? And of course, they don't respect boundaries, because if they did, they wouldn't pursue further, right? But when you overshare and you regret it, it's likely because you learned that relationships are fast, right? Oversharing, think about it. Think. I have overshared with people. I have met people and in minutes told them more things than they need to know about my life, right? Like, I don't even know them, and they're going to know me real fast. That's oversharing. And so that's the fascinating thing about this. Oversharing has to do with intensity, right? It has to do with a fucking lot of information all at once. Things that people don't need to know, right? Oversharing, in my book now, as I heal, is a massive fucking red flag. It is. And there are times that I still find myself doing it, and I catch myself, and, like, I'll even be in a scenario with somebody, and I'll be about to say something. I'll be about to expose information about myself, right? And then I think to myself, and I'm like, they don't need to know that, and it's probably better if they don't, right? So when you overshare and then regret it, it's likely that you overshare because you don't have healthy boundaries, and you're very familiar with giving into. This is not at all me trying to offend anybody or sending a personal attack at anybody. This is just the way that I see things. I'm still working on healthy boundaries, by the way. When you overshare and you regret it, you overshare because it's familiar to you. You probably learned intensity in relationships, and relationships going very fast in the beginning, right? Maybe you overshare because you want to be seen, because you're looking for intimacy, you're looking for connection with another human being. Even though healthy relationships happen when both people feel safe. It's not a matter of how fast or how slow it goes. It's a matter of what feels comfortable for a person. It's not a matter of what feels familiar. What feels familiar is from childhood. What it is that feels comfortable for a person. Comfort is a really good measurement, right? But yeah, oversharing happens usually because people are familiar with the intensity and the speed of relationships, usually based in what they learned, usually in childhood, right? Maybe they were parentified, maybe they had age inappropriate material shared with them from a very early age. And so therefore, with different people and different dynamics, it's going to be very familiar to expose this material to other people. And not only that, but you're also going to be dealing with telling people things about other people when other people don't want you to talk about them, right? So yeah, you're gonna feel the regret. You're going to get burned by it. And then after a while, as long as this person is not threatening your fucking life, and why would you ever find yourself in a position with somebody who is threatening your fucking life? Run. You don't need to tell people things about your life, especially if you're not comfortable with it. You don't need to tell people about things about other people's lives. Yeah, definitely don't do that. It's not your place to talk about other people's lives. That's drama. That's gossip. It's not healthy. It's not necessary. But yeah, when you overshare and you regret it, you don't need to overshare. You get to choose what it is that you share about your own life with other people. Don't talk about it. Don't under any circumstances talk about other people's lives. Just don't. It's not necessary. If somebody asks about somebody else, tell them, reach out to them. You can talk to them, right? It's that simple. But yeah, working on having healthy boundaries rather than porous boundaries where people can literally just reach in and take you. Yeah, we don't need that. So yeah, when you overshare and regret it, just understand where the oversharing is coming from. Understanding that familiar dynamic, because you learned it from somewhere. You weren't born that way. If you were taught healthy boundaries, you wouldn't overshare. And that's really just the way that it works. I might make a part two to this because there's a lot to talk about here. But yeah.